Pumpkin, pumpkin, round and fat, turns into a jack-o'-lantern just like that. Hello, artists! Today we are doing pumpkins. Okay, let's get started. Let's get our supplies out. Today you are going to need a piece of paper, painting paper or watercolor paper if you intend to use your watercolors today. You can use either that or crayons. Assorted crayons you will need, a pencil, and an eraser. My suggestion is to test out the eraser on your pencil to see if it leaves any streaks on a piece of paper. If it does, you might want to find another pencil so that it doesn't leave that on your paper. For your crayons, the specific colors that you are going to need today are black, blue, yellow, orange, and white. I also suggest you having two types of greens. You're going to need a light green and a dark green. It looks best if you have two of those. You're going to find out why in just a few minutes. Let's get started. Okay, we are picking up our pencil, and what you're going to do first is place your hand at the top of your paper and just make a first mark there. Now we're starting to draw the lines of the pumpkin. Notice when I started it, I just did a little line, a vertical line down the middle, and that helps me stabilize where the ridges of my pumpkin are going to go. I'm doing this rather quickly, but you don't have to. You can do yours much slower than this. I want us to note that when I get to the bottom of the pumpkin, I flatten it out just a little bit, just like I would at in person. Also, I just erased just a little bit of the middle line, and that was to stabilize my pumpkin. And of course, add a little stem right there. You want to make it a little bit thick because this is a large pumpkin, and the stem should match how thick the pumpkin is. If you do a really fat pumpkin, you will want a thick looking stem. Now, after we get the pencil marks on, we're not going to erase anything unless you have some stray marks. But now we're going to take that black crayon and just trace over top of the pencil lines that we just made. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be super dark right now. We're just putting those lines on there. Again, flattening out at the very bottom of the pumpkin so that it looks lifelike. I'm going to add some color to the stem, and maybe just shade just a little bit to showcase that it's a thick stem right there. Great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put up that black crayon, and then we're going to add some blue marks. Let's see, what am I going to do with this sky? Ooh, looks like maybe some wind is going to go in the background of my pumpkin. I think maybe I've seen this before in another painting. Let's see if these swirls in the sky look a little similar to another painting that we probably know. There the swirls are. This is the painting I was thinking of. Can you name this painting? It's called Starry Night, and the artist is called Vincent van Gogh. So these pumpkins, or this artwork, is essentially going to become a Starry Night pumpkin project. All right, let's continue. Now that we know what our inspiration is, we can begin to add some additional contour lines to the swirls that we've already begun on our portrait here. Just adding lines to show movement in the painting or the drawing if you're going to be doing that. We can also add some color to it too. So Vincent van Gogh did use a lot of blues, but he used other colors to offset the blue. So something that is very famous in the painting is that beautiful moon in the sky. If you have already added swirls and you don't have room for the moon, you can do one of two things. You can either draw the moon but make it look like it's going off of the page like I have. I don't have a full moon on my page because I didn't have room, but I still wanted that element to add some brightness to that sky. Or you can leave the moon completely out. Details like this aren't as important as the original concept of movement and the colors that we have in there. I also added some yellow to depict stars in the sky. And then once I do the yellow, I'm just going back over it just a little bit with an orange. Yellow and orange are like colors on the color wheel, so they go very, very, very well together. And the orange really does add a little bit of visual interest, which is what we want, to the painting. And now I'm adding just a little bit more color to the sky here. I'm adding some white in there too, because when we paint over it, the white will resist the paint and it will look absolutely amazing. And those patterns will really come out. Now, if you don't like just a little bit of stars in there, you can add a little bit more. I like the fact that there's a lot of yellow in the sky. I think it really looks really nice. Sometimes we're a little bit scared of the white color because we don't know exactly where we've put it. So the yellow offsets that just a little bit. And after we've gotten the sky basically in a situation that we like, okay, we've got that basic pattern down, we're going to add to our pumpkin. We want it to look like it's in a pumpkin patch or sitting on some grass. And what I'm doing is just adding some pattern to that with my dark green crayon. So all I'm doing is it's basically kind of like hatching, where it's not cross hatching because I'm not crossing the lines. It's just hatching to where I'm just doing vertical and then horizontal lines back and forth, creating a pattern like that. When we add color to this part looks really, really, really nice. And you can't see it, but I am doing the bottom of the painting right now in the same pattern and just continuing on here. And the last thing that we're going to do today is we're going to take a light green crayon and go over the horizontal lines of the pumpkin pattern that we have for the grass portion of the project. I like this extra dimension. It adds just a little bit of a depth of color and it brings out the green just a little bit more in a different kind of way. So once you get this part done, you can put your paper up in a safe place. Next week, we will start on the part 2 of our Starry Night Pumpkin project. See you then.